Energy is everything. Einstein said that. And as soon as you start to change the energy around you, it changes the energy in you, and you start to want to become this new person. And you're telling the universe, right, I'm ready now. I'm ready for this new person who has this partner and has this job and has this career and has this success and has this money. And everything starts to just flow.
Today's guest is Karena Sophia, Feng Shui and manifesting expert, energy healer, and spiritual teacher. Karena started her manifesting journey during 2020 when she was working as an executive coach for a bank. After going through a divorce, she turned to meditation and manifesting techniques to manifest her 4-bed home for her twin daughters who are now 18. Karena understands what it's like to be courageous. As a single mom, she took the bold decision to leave her 9-to-5 job and fulfill her passion, helping others manifest their dream life, and has since helped hundreds of people all over the world to bring their biggest desires into reality. She joins us today to talk about aligning the energy of your home can support manifesting your biggest dreams. Welcome, Karena.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited for this conversation because I always feel I tend to learn a lot as well. And I love that.
I love that you did explain Feng Shui and you said it in the right way, because a lot of people say, how do you say it? What is it?
Well, thank you. Yes. And especially being dyslexic, it's not, pronunciation isn't my strongest skill.
We'll just say energy. We'll just say the energy of your home. It makes it easier.
No, that's fine. So what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
We had this discussion the other day, and I think initially, when you first asked me that question, the thing that came into my mind was speaking on stage. And it sounds silly because there was only like 100 people there, and I've spoken on TV in front of millions of people and I wasn't scared. But as soon as I stood up on stage and someone handed me a microphone, I was absolutely terrified. And yet I'm a certified hypnotherapist and help people with trauma and overcoming fears all the time. And I know that standing and speaking publicly is like one of the world's biggest fears. And it feels so silly to be able to speak in front of millions of people on television or in front of tens of thousands of people in a Facebook group. And like this situation, I know that people are going to be watching, but it's not the same as having all these eyes on you. But actually, that just because in me, it felt like courageous because my nervous system just went into absolute overdrive in that moment. But really, if you were to ask what got the biggest amount of criticism from people, it was definitely leaving my 9-to-5 job because even one of my daughters went, "Why have you done that?" Because I want to fulfill purpose and I want to feel fulfilled. And that really was a massive step and a massive jump in comparison. But the way that my nervous system felt speaking on stage, that's the difference, I think, in when we're overcoming courage and being courageous, and when we're overcoming something, it's how we feel about it, really. Because to me, leaving my 9-to-5 job and going into this and not knowing when my next client was going to come and not having a mortgage, having teenage girls to look after, I knew that I just needed to do that, and that was an automatic next step for me, that I was just so ready for it that I didn't feel like it was a massive jump. But it came with a lot more criticism than standing on stage did.
Oh, bless. That is. And it can be terrifying, I'm sure. Absolutely. It's the unknown, isn't it? And I think sometimes, from safety, from the 9-to-5 job, going into something unknown, people probably think, why are you doing this? But in your heart, you knew that was your calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I say about manifesting. Like, I teach this manifestation process, and it's all about embodying the person that you want to become. And for me, like, this process started when I was just Actually, in 2020, when I went through a divorce, I was living in the same house as my ex-husband. Because of COVID, obviously, we were trying to sell the house. I wanted to get the same kind of lifestyle as my children had been used to, like a 4-bedroom house. And I was thinking, I have no idea how this is going to happen. So I started to meditate and I started to visualize the life that I wanted. And it was because my daughters were they'd just started secondary school and they were getting older. And before that, I really had just identified myself as a mother and that was it. And as I was growing up, I'd kind of gone through this process of thinking, I just want to have a baby. I want to have babies and I want to have children. I want to be a mum. And there was no thought about me as a person and what am I going to leave. And then someone said to me, ask this question. When you're an 80-year-old person, you look back on your life, what would you actually want it to look like? And I just went, oh my life. I want a higher purpose. I want to actually fulfill something much bigger than, I don't want to say just being a mom because being a mom is incredible. Like, you know that you've brought up children and there's no feeling like it really. But being able to just take that next step. For me, when I was in executive coaching, I'd already learned NLP. Then I started to learn hypnotherapy. And as I was learning Reiki. I became a Reiki master teacher and I did that while I was still working in my 9-to-5 job. So the gradual increase, like this is what happens with your brain. Your brain has to get used to this change because when you go outside of your comfort zone, that's when your fears kick in and you go, oh my God, this is totally different to anything I've ever done before. And that's when your nervous system really goes into overdrive. And that's what it was like when I stood on stage. I was like, never done anything like this before. And standing up there with all these eyes on you. And yet when I started to change my life gradually, a little bit at a time, and I was doing the coaching in the bank for someone else as well, I was in this situation. You know what it's like when you're life coaching. It is so fulfilling and you feel amazing about it. But one of the things that I hated was just being controlled by other people telling me when I wanted to go on holiday, when I could take time off. And I just like, no, I want this freedom feeling.
Absolutely. I can so relate to that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it completely changed my life, but it didn't feel like it did because I'd already kind of started to get some clients part-time and I'd already been life coaching or executive coaching. It's just a different kind of format, but I was trained in NLP and using neuro-linguistic programming and started to use, and then even like you think in the corporate world, I was working for a bank that deals with high net worth clients. But suddenly when you start training your brain and telling yourself, these are the people that I want to surround myself, I would still start to connect with other people that were like more spiritual and more on my kind of wavelength and more of my positive energy. It was quite a gradual change for me. I'm sure you felt the same when you moved into life coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just that calling. You just know you have to do that. And this day and age, it's from the heart. You have to come from the heart. And so many businesses are learning that now. And if you just cutthroat, it's a business, you don't enjoy it. We're here to enjoy life. And that's one of the greatest things here.
And that links really well, to manifesting, because Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've learnt from so many people, a lot of them like Tony Robbins, even Marissa Peer, where I learned hypnotherapy, Bob Proctor. It's very much all about the brain, or let's do mindset training, let's change the brain. But really, when you're changing the brain, yes, there's a part of the brain at the back called the reticular activating system, and that filters all the information that you get. So it goes from like 7 million pieces of information per second to just filtering down to 7. So yes, you've got to focus on your intentions and focus on what you do want to create. But as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, he works with the science, but your brain is like the signal that sends out to the universe what it is that you want to create. And then you'll start seeing all these opportunities, but it's your heart that draws it back to you. And the more open your heart is and the more authentic you are, which authenticity is apparently the highest vibrational frequency that we can emit, that's when you start drawing all these opportunities to you, and things just start coming to you really, really easily and effortlessly. And that's when it feels like it actually is easy. It's like this pull, isn't it? I've got to do this. It's just like natural to want to do this and to create these new opportunities when you're in alignment with your higher purpose and in alignment with the universe. When I started doing all these courses, I did leave my 9-to-5 job, and I still was getting into that process of like, I don't know when my next client's coming in, and I'll do all these techniques to try and get there, but it still felt like a bit of a struggle. And then I came across Feng Shui, a Feng Shui master. I'm going to go a little bit woo-woo. I don't know how woo-woo your guests are, but I started
all the way.
I started channeling a Buddhist monk. So this Buddhist monk came to me in February, and I was like, I talk to angels and I say things like, just show me the way. You can just say, even if you say to your higher self, your spirit guides, your God, or whatever it is that you believe in, even if you just say it to yourself, you're training your brain to say, show me the way, like show me how to get what I want to get to, where I want to get, and you'll start to just direct yourself in that way. And this Buddhist monk came to me in February, and he was like, wait till June. And I was thinking, wait till June? I want to know now, because I didn't have any patience. And it taught me patience, and it came in the form of a Buddhist monk as well. So really, really in the right way to show me, just trust yourself and trust the journey that you're on, that you're going to find your way. And I had been using Feng Shui in my own life personally. Like, I realized now that I wanted to sell the house, and I was living with my ex-husband. We'd had it on the market for 11 months. And I look back now, and I'd put it on the market, and within 5 days of me implementing Feng Shui, then I sold the house. And it was like, oh, I didn't click actually that that's what happened. And also when I was younger and I was getting pregnant and working on getting pregnant, I was like, I want twin girls. And I was really like, kind of, my dad's a twin. We've got lots of twins in the family. And I was just kind of, yeah, I want to be the one who has twins. And I bought this statue of my girls. Well, I bought a statue of twin girls, and I looked at it 5 years, 6 years later. And I had manifested these girls that looked exactly like these. Like, one was taller than the other, and they're not identical, obviously. One had short bobbed hair, one had long hair. And it was like, wow, I actually created this. And I didn't realize that it was all about just setting up the energy of your home to feel at peace. And once you love your home, and once you set everything up in that way to create this life and be this identity that you want to be, everything comes so much easier, and it just kind of flows. And it is like that kind of feeling that you get when, yeah, I've just got to do this, instead of, I spent like a year and a half procrastinating over some things that I think now, why did I do that?
Absolutely.
And it is fear.
Yeah, absolutely fear. That's brilliant, Karina. I can totally understand that. And well done. God, you've really done some brilliant manifesting. And, listeners, she's going to teach us some as well. So you teach about the steps of manifesting your dreams life in your membership. Can you talk us through those steps briefly, please?
Yeah, so I talked about briefly just the reticular activating system. So I think it's really, really important to know where you're going. And the best analogy for this really is, the first step is intention setting, and being really, really clear on what is it that you want to create and what do you want. And having that question of, well, where do you want to be when you're 80 and you look back on your life? What do you want to have achieved? It's an easier, like, sometimes you can't see the path going forwards, you can only see it going backwards. And when you put yourself in that situation and look back, it's sometimes quite easy to then say, oh, actually, that's what I would like to have achieved. And yeah, like writing a book and standing on stage, speaking on stage, and all these things that you want to create. Actually, really, it's a community. So once you've set your intentions, then you're telling your reticular activating system, this is what I want. Now, when it comes to Feng Shui, the second stage is like cleansing and releasing all of the beliefs that hold you back and the fears that hold you back, that stand in the way. And a lot of the things in our surroundings are based on the identity that we are now. So the clothes that you would have bought, like you may have gone on a date with someone 4 years ago and you're still thinking that you want to manifest a new partner, but actually you look in your wardrobe and you still got the same clothes that you had 4 years ago, but you're not the same person that you were. And every time you open your wardrobe and you're seeing that, your brain is saying, oh, that didn't work out. And it's reminding you constantly of the things that didn't work, instead of, let's fill my home. My home is literally filled with positive affirmations. And butterflies. These butterflies represent new beginnings. So I just say every day is a new day. So setting your home up, cleansing getting rid of the fears. Journaling is a really, really good way, I find, as well, to be able to get out those fears and find those subconscious beliefs that are stopping you. And then aligning the home and detaching from it. And I think that detaching, people think, oh, it's really hard to let go of what you actually want. But when you're taking action, you're not focused on that. You're focused on the action right now. So that's the part of detaching. So the first part is set your intentions really, really clearly. Write down exactly what it is. And I would write out a script, in fact. This is what I teach, to say, this is the life that I'm living now, and I'm so grateful. And you write it like a letter, 6 months in advance, 2 years in advance. These are all the things that I've created in my life. Are you living with your partner? Do you have children? Do you have a dog? Are you working from home? Are you working for yourself? Are you living in a palace? I don't know, 5-bedroom home, or are you just content with living somewhere by the sea, somewhere smaller, whatever it is? All of these things that you want to create, you just write it out. And the more you write it out, the more it will come out with, like, the small little bits that you want to create. And then when you're cleansing and releasing the fears, as you start to move towards these things that you want to create, and that's why I also use the home, putting pictures up of what you want, just is a constant reminder to your subconscious, that's why I'm doing this, that's where I'm going. Because a lot of people will say, always remember your why. And why you want to do it is that 80-year-old coming back to go, what actually do you want to leave this world with? Do you want to leave a legacy, or are you doing it because part of mine was, as my children were growing up, they've had no idea what they want to do in their lives, and they just had their first job. One of my daughters just gone through not really enjoying the job through the summer, not having a very nice boss. And I said, well, that's part of life, that you don't actually have to stay somewhere if you're not happy. And no amount of money is going to make you want to stay somewhere. Money is like what society says is the definition of success. And money is what most people will say, oh, that's my driver for coming to work. But it's not really. It's the feeling that money will bring to you. Like, actually, do I want to have loads of holidays a year? And that's going to make me feel really free and really peaceful. Or I just like being at the beach. Or, what is the real driver? And for me, it's getting up in the morning and loving what I do and bringing purpose. So to be able to show my children, that was part of my why. I want to be able to show my children they don't have to go to university. They don't have to get a job. They don't need to do all these things that society says they have to do. They have the ability to be able to create it themselves. And so when my daughter even first said, oh my God, why have you left work? Why have you done that?
I absolutely love that. And yes, it is, especially being parents for our children, it's learnt behavior. And if they can see we are happy in doing what we do because we want to be fulfilled, they will understand that as well. And I absolutely love that, what you're saying, Karena.
It's so much easier to show them rather than to tell them.
Yes.
Because you can say it and say it and say it and it doesn't really go in. But when they actually see, like, I've spent the whole summer, they had 8 weeks off during the summer. They they're doing A-levels now, so they're at sixth form, so they've had a longer summer, and I've been able to be there all the time. I've taken them to these new jobs that they're getting. I've been able to just say, oh yeah, I'll take you to a concert and the other side of the country, and I'll do this, and we can go here on holiday, and we can book this holiday and go 4 days in advance, and we don't have to wait a year like we used to have to. And we feel so much more free. And even the other day when I went upstairs, it was like, I don't know, it was 20 to 10 or something, and the shops were closing at 10 p.m. And one of my daughters had said, oh no, I forgot to get some lunch for tomorrow, and I'm going on a school trip and I'd forgotten to tell you about it. And can we just go out and go and get something? I said, yeah, let's just go and jump in the car. We'll go to the supermarket. And it's something as simple as that. But she said, I love this spontaneous life that we have, Mum. It's like we're only going to the supermarket.
Bless.
But just being the supermarket, she wouldn't have had that. It's the overall feeling that we have this freedom to be able to do whatever it is that we want to. And obviously not everyone is going to be in this situation that's listening to this right now, but it's just that to think back, I 5 years ago was living in a 9-to-5 job. I was in a home. I was in a marriage that I wasn't happy with. I was only thinking about myself as being a parent. And then when I started to take these steps to say, actually, I want to change my life, and I want to look back, and I want to be able to say I've left a legacy and I've helped people to fulfill their dreams, or whatever it is that, like, some people will be not even realize that they're supposed to be a musician, or some people are supposed to write books, or whatever it is. I've got a client at the moment who says, oh, I only sold so many books, 2-3 books last month. And I'm like, will you change your idea of what success is? Because it's not about how many books you're selling. Yes, we can increase that. And yes, we can feel like we're not successful. But actually, there are 2 or 3 people in the world who wanted to read your books, who are giving you good feedback. And there are so many people who want to be able to write a book and don't even have the courage to do it. Absolutely. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on what is it? What is your passion? And that's the first step. One of the first steps to manifesting and finding a purpose is to find what are you good at, and what does the world need? And then obviously, how can you make money from it? But some people won't make money. Some people will just fulfill that passion as a side hustle or as a hobby, whatever it is, but still give them something to feel fulfilled. And then others will absolutely make millions as soon as they do that. I follow this guy called Bashar. Well, he's called Darryl Anker, but he channels an entity called Bashar, and I find him fascinating, and he says things in such a simple way. And he says, like, the definition of abundance is just the ability to do anything at any time whenever you need to. And that's abundance. It's not about money. It's about, I can do what I want when I want to and feel fulfilled. And he says to follow your passion and your greatest excitement as much as possible until you can follow it no more. And that is like the real purpose to life. That's a real fulfillment when you're just following your passion and you're doing something every single day. That's why I love Feng Shui as well. So I have clients who will come and say, oh, I need to change the energy on my home.
Who are unaware of Feng Shui, what is it, and what would you say is the biggest misconception about it?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I think a lot of people, well, some people might have heard of it, some people won't. Some will just be thinking, I've heard about it 20 years ago or something, and don't use it. And one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, is that people just think it's moving furniture, and that they hear Feng Shui and they say, there's different ways of even saying it. Some people will say feng. I use feng because it's a Chinese way of doing it. Other people say feng, shui or shui or whatever. Feng Shui is how I say it because that's how the Chinese say it. So it's been around for like 4,000 years from the East, and it started in China. But it's very much about the energy of your home. So it's not a complete misconception that moving the furniture in your home can make a difference, because there's obviously the energy is everything, and the way that the energy flows around your home makes a difference to how you feel. But the first thing is really, it's so powerful that it was even banned just even 20 years ago by the Chinese government, because they know how powerful it could be, and they made everybody ban it, and they burnt a lot of the books. And so even when my Feng Shui master learnt it, she had to go to China to learn it, but she learnt it in secret, and she wasn't allowed to tell anyone where she was or what she was doing.
Wow.
So it can be really, really powerful, and there's loads of different types of it. When it came over from the east to the west, there were some misconceptions and misunderstandings, and obviously it's a bit like Chinese whispers, and I like to use it in a way that I have personally tried and tested what I use. But the most simple way to explain it really is that the energy flow in your home, if you set your home up with the energy of the vibration of what it is that you want to call in and the identity that you want to be, that really is like the same as having 6 or 7 friends that come round to sit with you to work every single day, and they're going, come on, Anita, you can do it. You can move forward. You can do this. And it's so different to having 6 or 7 people that are banging on your door saying, why on earth have you left your job to be a life coach? What are you doing that for? And that's the difference in how it can feel with having the energy aligned in your home and not having it aligned. So it feels like your energy, your home is supporting you. And yeah, there is a part of it, like with furniture movement and things like that, with you just want to be able to, the energy comes in through the front of the home, the front door, the front windows. You want the home to be able to feel fresh. So even as simple as I would open the windows every single day, even if it's cold and it's only 30 seconds, just let the fresh air in. And a lot of it is about allowing the energy of the outside and the environment to be inside as well. So like, when you go to the beach, or if you're sitting outside and you're sitting in nature, some people will laugh about the fact that you're hugging a tree, but actually when it releases oxytocin and there is a vibrational frequency of the grass and the earth, there are scientific studies that say hugging a tree actually does give you benefits. I wouldn't necessarily say for everybody you need to go that far, but it's about using the elements of the earth. So we use earth, metal, fire, water, and wood. So we use all of those elements in balance. Some of them are masculine energy. Some of them help you to grow. Some of them will give you passion and drive to move forward. Some of them will give you mental clarity or support mental clarity. And then others, like in the bedroom, for instance, actually a lot of that time that you spend in the bedroom is for sleep and rest. And so you want that to be more of a yin energy, which is relaxing. And there's energies that make sense to have the masculine drive, like in an office, that you want to move forward with. And then there's energies where you want to feel like relaxed in the living room maybe, or in the bedroom, where you want that to be more of the feminine flow and the feminine energy and the blues and the earth colours. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that can be done, but I would say for anybody out there who wants to start changing their home, write down, first of all, what is your intention for your life? What do you want to create? Who is this person? And go around your home, literally look around your home and say, does my home represent that kind of person? A lot of people will talk about manifesting money, and there's loads of things that you can do with Feng Shui when it comes to that. But literally look around your home, and if you walk into your home and there's loads of shoes in the way and the energy could trip over, or think about, with Feng Shui we talk about, is your home a palace? Think about whether a king or queen would live like that, with your shoes all over the place, and just getting a shoe rack to put them away can make a big difference. You go through your cupboards in the kitchen, are they chipped, are they broken cups? And the reason that we're holding on to them is unconscious most of the time. You don't even think, actually, I could just get rid of them and create new and bring in new things. And we live in this constant state of lack a lot of the time, because we've had this discussion before about watching the news. The news is constantly trying to make us miserable.
Definitely.
And so we want to create a life that we want, that is positive and that is full of abundance. And opening up the kitchen cupboards and finding cracked cups or broken, chipped mugs or bowls or whatever it is just makes you unconsciously think something in my life is not working properly, or I'm in a lack mentality, or I don't have the money to create them. Honestly, as soon as you start throwing away those clothes and throwing away those broken items, the money just appears. And it can be literally quite miraculous. I've seen it with people. I've seen someone throw away her husband's things in the home that she was holding on to, and 2 days later met her soulmate and married him 4 months later. Literally, the energy is everything. Einstein said that. And as soon as you start to change the energy around you, it changes the energy in you, and you start to want to become this new person. And you're telling the universe, right, I'm ready now. I'm ready for this new person who has this partner and has this job and has this career and has this success and has this money. And everything starts to just flow.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And you slightly touched on this success. So, what is your definition of success?
I don't know whether you've ever seen Derek Grant. He's got an Instagram channel called DG Mindset, and he's a really good motivational speaker. The best thing that I ever heard him say was, people have the wrong definition of success, and success is actually short for succession. Succession means like you are making progress, you're moving forward, instead of like everybody was thinking about it being the end goal. And when you think of it as the end goal, you're doing energetically as you're always pushing away that end goal. And so you're always saying, oh, success is not here now. And when you're manifesting, you want to be able to say, I'm already successful, because then you feel that vibrational match to what it is that you're creating. Like, I've already got it. I'm already successful. And when you're making progress, it doesn't matter how small that progress is, even if it's as small as throwing the broken cups away in a cabinet or wherever it is, you have done something towards that level of success that you want to create, that level, that identity that you want to create, but you're already successful. And so society is just constantly making us see all these beautiful people in the world, the famous people, I don't know, tennis players winning how many gold medals at the Olympics, and always thinking, oh yeah, it's some kind of achievement. So actually, to me, it's a feeling. Actually, it's a feeling of fulfillment, and yeah, I'm moving forward, and I am living the life that I was supposed to live, that my higher self would be proud of, in alignment with the universe, in alignment with joy and happiness and peace.
So, if there was one key takeaway, Karena, you want all the listeners to go away with today, what would that be?
I would say start feeling successful now.
Wow.
Start feeling successful. Get into that energy of success right now, and think about the future that you want to create. Write down all of those, like the person that you want to become, the things that you want to create. What is it that is that person? How do they behave? What do they look like? How do they dress? What things do they do? How do they feel? And start going around your home and just saying, does this home represent that person that I'm becoming? And just start changing it in whatever way feels right to you.
That's brilliant. So where can the listeners find you online, Karena?
I am the Graceful Healer on Instagram. The Graceful Healer, all one word. And on Facebook, I am Karena Sophia. I am about to start a YouTube channel, but I don't have one yet. So I'm not looking at YouTube yet.
Do you have a website?
Oh, yes. Website is thegracefulhealer.co.uk.
Brilliant. So thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, you have helped so many others make a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that, Karena Sophia.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, and I've learned so much. So with that said, we are all about Create the Courage to be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
Well, my definition of courage is to do something that scares you, overcome it, and feeling the feeling of overcoming your own fears, no matter what anybody else says. It's just doing what feels right in your heart to do.